Okay, let's give it on. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Liquid Choices podcast, where we aim to elevate ourselves through exciting guests, interesting stories, and learning about different lifestyle choices. I am extremely excited to be joined today by someone who I would now class as a friend, but someone who has been a very supportive and wonderful human being. She runs the inspirational, sober and curious account on Instagram, and is also my social media manager, which is very, very needed given my social media skills. So I'd like to welcome today the very lovely Kristin Lamb to the show. Hi, Kristin.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I need to preface this by saying that Kristin has been a little bit worried about this, but she shouldn't be because she's going to be
A little bit.
fantastic. And this is going to be the first of many podcast appearances because, one of the things about you, Kristin, that obviously I think I've gotten a bit what people say weirdy, new agey spiritually recently, and like I'm very drawn to energies and rather than sort of like personalities and stuff. Not that that's detraction on your personality, obviously, but like like your energy is very, very positive and you're like doing a lot of good stuff in the community. So do you want to just sort of tell us a little bit about how Sober Curious came about and sort of how you got into this area?
Yeah, of course. I think sometimes people expect like a super exciting and crazy story, but it's not really like that at all. So my partner and I, we were pretty much just known as the party couple. We were out all the time, always drunk, pretty much. And that was pretty much our personality, I suppose. I mean, we didn't really know who we were without alcohol.
Mm.
And it was kind of just a mix of terrible hangovers, spending shitloads of money, making stupid decisions, and I think we kind of just had enough of it.
Yeah.
And we were just I think we knew for a while that something had to change, but neither of us kind of brought it up with each other, and we just kind of continued to go, and all of our friends and everything were kind of on the same path. Um, and then just over a year ago, we went on holiday to Mykonos, um,
Nice.
which is the most expensive
I
place
was
I
going to
have ever
say,
been in my
la di
whole
da.
life. Like €20 for a cocktail, like minimum, mental.
Mm.
And before we'd gone away, I had bought Catherine Gray's book, The Unexpected Joys of Being Sober. Um, Not really, I think it's probably a subconscious thing. Like, I didn't really ever think that we would stop drinking. It was just, I was kind of interested in it, watching what she had to say.
Mm.
So started reading that, and the more I read about it, um, like I could relate to so many things that she was saying. I was like, oh my God, that's me, or oh my God, that's us. We do that. And I kept telling Callum, my partner, like little bits of it and little statistics, and I could see that he was getting a little bit interested as well. So he ended up reading it after me. Um, and then we had probably like a 2 or 3 hour conversation at the pool about, can we do this? Should we try and moderate? Should we just cut down a little bit? Anyway, we came to the conclusion that we were going to try and just quit cold turkey for a bit, see how we got on. And that was kind of it. Well, we thought that was it. An hour later, we were at the bar getting cocktails.
Yeah, I've been there before.
And
Yeah.
before we knew it, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were like stumbling home.
Yeah.
And we had the flight home to get that day as well.
Oh
So
no, blimey.
yeah, oh, it was a terrible day, the worst anxiety I've ever had,
Yeah.
hanging about. And we're also flying back to Manchester as well. And
Oh
as you
no.
know, I live in Scotland, so it was about a 4 hour drive once we got off the plane. So yeah, that was pretty bad. So
Yeah.
we once we got in, poured away all of the drink that we had in the house, which was a lot.
Mm.
Got rid of all of the kind of stuff that associated with alcohol, because I think we didn't really realize. I mean, we had these like stupid signs that say like nobody gets out sober at our front door,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you
like
get drawn
prints
into
of
buying
like,
these things. Yeah.
yeah, like prints of cocktails. Like I had a lamp that was like the base of it was a gin bottle.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, we had so much stuff in the house, and we were just like, oh my God, like this is so ingrained in our life that we don't even like it's never really a thought before.
no.
Um, so yeah, I did all of that, pretty much cancelled the next few nights out that we had because we were like, we can't go out and not drink. We weren't at that stage yet.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much the story of how we stopped drinking. So
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, that it's so much stuff that resonates with me there, and so much stuff that I wanted to unpick really. And like it's weird, isn't it? Like the sober community. I was speaking to the Michelle from the We Recover Loudly podcast the other day. So you have certain like certain sort of images of what you need to be. And it's like, oh, if you're now a man who doesn't drink, you need to be doing yoga and eating brown rice and training for a
yeah,
half marathon and all that. And it's like this sort of we put these sort of stigmas there. It's like if you come into the sober community, you need to have like a massive rock bottom story where you're carted away by police in Ibiza. And it's like not all of us have that, do we? And it's like, I mean, in a way, what you sort of described there, it was a little bit of a rock bottom because I've kind of been there on flights when you're sweating out and hanging and like maybe there's a bit of turbulence and stuff. You're thinking, oh my God, should I have
yeah.
another drink on this EasyJet flight to sort of take away the panic, or am I just going to? It's really really unpleasant. But I think it's really important. We don't all need to have that sort of big story. Like I think from my perspective, I always felt that there was like this dull ache and like this kind of, I don't know whether it was a burning in the back of my mind, like this little candle sort of telling me like through the 25 years of drinking that Trev, there's something else out there for you. And I don't know whether you sort of felt that or whether you maybe, because there's obviously something that was, drawing you and your partner away from the booze. So do you think it maybe was always there, or do you think it was just a desire to try something different?
Yeah, I think it's probably always been there. I mean, I worked in hospitality and meetings and events industry for well since I left uni really, and I think the fact that that sector, like a lot of sectors, just it revolves around alcohol pretty much. I mean, the way to get someone to come to your event is by dangling free booze in front of them, and
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing that works, isn't it?
yeah,
And I was very much kind of I was pretty deep in that kind of cycle of just going to events and drinking and eating all the food, the crap food that was there. And yeah, I think just at the back of my mind, I was kind of like, do I want to be doing this? Is this how I want to be spending my nights with, making small chat with people and getting free drinks and free
mm,
dinners and stuff? I mean, on the outside, I think it looked like I had a really good life.
yeah,
But that's because that's what I was portraying on Instagram. It was like pictures of, all the dinners, all the drinks, all the cocktails, everything like that. Um, and I suppose because I don't really have, I mean, I'm not saying like all my friends aren't like drinking loads and loads. I probably drank
yeah,
the most out of all my friends. But because I didn't have any friends that didn't drink, it wasn't really something I ever thought about, like I suppose.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's always kind of been something, especially in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, it's always been something that's kind of been there at the back of my mind, I think.
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah, because yeah, I think you sort of it's like an awakening, isn't it? And you kind of realize that there's possibly another life out there that's better for you, and so on. But yeah, you also sort of refer to that kind of programming of a lifestyle where like it's always it's endemic, isn't it? Like you've constantly got alcohol there and
Yeah.
it's always a worry. And like
Sure.
I'll come back off holiday and I had a drink on holiday, and I was like, why have I done that? And it's because I've gone on holiday for like X amount of years in a row and I drink. That's what British people do on holiday.
That is what you do. Yeah,
And then I
exactly.
wake up next day and I'm thinking, what am I doing with my life? And then I don't, and my run went worse, because I was just not in the right place. I hadn't slept as well, and so on. And you're back on the treadmill again. So it's a constant battle, isn't it? Really, between sort of trying to break down that sort of programming we've got, of kind of drink is part of our culture and our lifestyle and all that. And it's really kind of damaging, isn't it? I think
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I mean, there's so many people out there, and I understand obviously everyone's in a different situation, but for people like me, where I mean, I was a binge drinker. I didn't need alcohol to get me through the day. I mean, I didn't drink kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on the Thursday night, it kind of started creeping in and throughout the weekend. But it's, I mean, at the start, I did sort of like count how many days I hadn't had a drink for, which I don't really do anymore, because I read so many posts on Facebook with people saying, "Oh, back to day one, and I had a
Yeah.
drink, and now I need to start all over again," and all that. And it's just, I mean, sobriety is a journey.
Yes.
It's your own journey. It's not like you can't compare yourself to anyone else, basically, because it just doesn't work.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that I struggle with. Like, I mean, I've got ADHD, so I'm quite impulsive. So it's like, and that's what I'm learning about alcohol. Is like, excuse me, you have to swap the like impulsive. Yay! I'm celebrating. It's Friday. I need to have an Aperol spritz. The sun's shining. I need to, whatever the reason is, you've got to celebrate to drink. Like you get caught up in that moment, but then you don't in that moment think about the next day and the next day and the next day where everything has been affected. And like, I was always one of these people, even if I have two drinks, like two alcoholic drinks, I will wake up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning like that. And then like I can't sleep, and then I feel
Yeah.
anxiety, and because I've got ADHD, I get worse anxiety anyway. So it's all part of a cycle. And I think that's one of the bits of work that I want us, when I say us, I mean the community as a whole, sober community, to try and impact people who probably like us kind of knew that there's something a bit wrong with what we're doing, and like it takes a big leap. And like I think firstly, I think it's testament to how strong your relationship is, that you could go from boozing all the time and then to both decide not to. That's a real positive thing. And I think I'm in that similar situation, because me and my wife are exactly the same. I met her, I was just got divorced. She was 10 years younger. She was out drinking. She was 24 in Folkestone, and that's all we did. We went out and drank and just like literally got absolutely smashed, and blah blah blah. And then we decided to stop drinking, and well, we owned a bar as well, So it was like even
Okay.
worse. But yeah, and then we stopped drinking, and then yeah, everything was just a little bit better. Like everything was just a little bit more rose tinted, I guess. But going back to what you said about your friends and so on who are drinking, like, can you talk us through that a little bit? Because I know some people find it quite difficult when they go, it's quite a big lifestyle choice to go from drinking to not drinking. It shouldn't be, but unfortunately it is. And did you find that that was difficult with friends? Did your friendship group change, anything like that?
Do you know what? I think I've actually been quite lucky. When I first told, I mean, we told family and close friends to begin with, like right at the start, just because we wanted to get as much support as possible, and we didn't want to have to deal with, coming up with fake excuses for not going to stuff. We just wanted to be able to say, look, we're going to try and stop drinking, so this is the reason that we're not going to come to X, Y, and Z. Um, Although the first messages were basically like, yeah, whatever, like it's
Yeah,
been said
yeah,
before, like,
yeah.
yeah, let's see what happens. Which, I mean, I totally understand, because if I was them, I'd think exactly the same, because I mean, Tristan and Callum without drinking is just, it was just
Not
unthinkable.
heard of.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like, what the hell? But after that, and after the first few weeks, got through those. We had a family barbecue at our house. Didn't drink, and I mean, obviously, we were like, "You guys bring." I mean, we're not going to buy drinks in the house, but if you want to bring your own stuff, absolutely no problem with that. That's fine. So got through that, and obviously, everyone could see we were serious about it. And yeah, after that, it wasn't an issue. Friends, again, like I said earlier, I mean, I was the one that drank the most, and I was probably the one that was always like, oh, we're going to stop for a cocktail, or we're going to go out for a drink, or blah, blah, blah. So my close group of friends have been amazing, like so supportive. There's a few friends that I've lost, although I
yeah,
guess they probably weren't really friends in the first place. There were people that I would go out with to drink, and
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't go out for like, a walk with them, or a breakfast with them that didn't include alcohol,
Yeah,
because we probably didn't really have much to talk about. So,
that's
I
it,
mean,
isn't
as
it?
far as I'm concerned, it's not, I mean, it's sad, but I don't really feel it as a loss, really. So,
No, 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 good. And then I think it's a good way to view it. I mean, it was a realization for me because I was thinking that people I was quite close with, you actually realize you're not. And like you say, it kind of dawned on me that actually, exactly as you said, you haven't really got anything to say to these people. And I remember when I first went sober, I went to the same old pubs that I went to in Folkestone with the same people. And I was sitting there and I remember seeing like 10 Heineken Zero bottles, which were all mine, and everyone else was drinking. And then I sort of just looked around. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they were going to be set for like all day, all night. And I just looked around the pub and thought, this is grotty. Like, this is really like, I don't want to be here. And like, I just went, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to go home and see my family. And yeah, it's an interesting thing because you find your tribe. And I think, you know, I'm in the process of kind of doing that. And I think it's really helpful when you've got a strong relationship. And I think you need to, like, I think that's a really good way to sort of describe it. Like, who would you go out for a walk with and have a good time? And I went out just the other day with Colin from the Quartermasters, as one of our ambassadors, and we went to this waterfall and we frolicked about in the water and we ate berries from the trees and like it was just really nice. And I think, you know, when I was in my really heavy drinking days, there's no way I would have gone, oh my god, that's so ridiculous. Why would you guys want to do
yeah.
that? Do you know what I mean? It's such a change of like your whole philosophy in life kind of changes and your wants sort of desires change as well. So it's yeah, for all those people out there who are sober curious, and I honestly, I just say I think it's worth just considering it. Just even like you say, even if you just try after you're doing a week. I mean, Colin's a good example. He was only going to do a month. I mean, did you have a set sort of time in mind when you and Callum first started, or did you just think we're just going for it?
Do you know what? I actually can't remember. Um, I think we were just, the plan was let's just try it and see how we got on and see how
Mm,
far we can get. Because I think we didn't really we didn't really know what we are getting into, basically, because I mean, I probably hadn't gone for a week maybe without alcohol since I was like 18
yeah,
probably. So
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, oh my God, am I going to have withdrawal symptoms? Am I going to feel shit? Am I just, yeah, I don't really know.
No.
So yeah, we were pretty much just like, let's see how it goes and how far we can get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now here you are. How long's it been?
Yeah. Just over a year
Ah,
in June it would have been. So
congratulations. It's an impressive thing. So born out of your sobriety was sober and curious. Would you like to tell people like a little bit about that? Why, what, how, why? Like why did it come about and all that sort of stuff?
yeah, it's been a pretty organic thing, really, which has been it's been nice.
Mm,
It's kind of continually evolving, and I guess it still is. So in I think it was December last year, I started the Sober and Curious Instagram account, and it started off as an anonymous account, and it was basically a place where I just used to post all of my alcohol-free drinks that I was trying, which was a lot. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to like bore all my friends that still drink, and I don't. I think I was probably worried about what they thought of me for like going from this party girl always drinking to the
mm,
total opposite. Um, and yeah, so that was kind of the reason behind it. Um, and then I guess as time went on, I started to kind of chat to more people on Messenger and kind of build up relationships with people. And I just found it a really supportive place. I mean, I think everyone
mm.
on Instagrams, we're obviously all going through sort of similar journeys and are looking for people to connect with. So yeah, it grew from there. In the January time, I also set up a Facebook group that was kind of just for my local area, and that was kind of with plan to do sort of some meetups, go for some walks, all that kind of thing, because I think it was really important to have like in life connection as well. I mean, it's all good
Mm,
messaging, but to actually meet somebody and you
yeah.
have a conversation, everything like that, I felt was really important. So we did, I say we, I mean me. I did a event in January, at the end of January, which was a alcohol-free drinks tasting. So we did that and had about 30 people that came along. And it went down really, really well. So I did another one. And then we've just, done a couple of other events in between. So that's kind of the event side of things. And then as the following on my Instagram account started to grow, I kind of got contacted by some alcohol-free drinks companies just to do some promotions and stuff like that. And then that's kind of grown into actually managing alcohol-free companies and businesses' social media accounts.
Yeah, man. Is that what you wanted to do you think?
Do you know what? I've always had an interest in social media and social media marketing. So in previous jobs, when I worked in the events industry, I was always the one that kind of ended up looking after Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of thing. It just sort of happened because I think it was one of those things that you either love it or you're just like, oh, it's a total pain in the ass, but I know I've got to do it.
Yeah.
So I was the one that was always like, oh, I'll do it for you. So it wasn't really the plan at the start, but it's kind of been a natural kind of progress and move into that, which has worked out and worked pretty quickly as well. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a whirlwind, isn't it, in a lot of respects? But I think it does, from my perspective, everything feels kind of organic, and it's really weird because, like in any other sector, we would all be seen as competitors, I guess, in the same area. But like, there is such a feeling of community, and it's amazing when you when you take alcohol out of the equation. Like everyone's a bit like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to tread on your toes, so like you tell me like if that's okay, and we're all just so like nice to each other and like so supportive, and it's like, I'm very anxious that obviously I've got my thing and you've got your thing, but really it's all the same thing, and we all just want the most positive outcomes, I think, for people, and it's just nice, isn't it? Like it's how society should be, really.
Definitely. I think as well because we're still such a small. I mean, it's obviously growing, but I mean in relation to the rest of the population, we're a pretty small group of people. And yeah, like you say, we're all working towards the same goal, and we're going to get there so much quicker if we do all just work together and to help each other out. So
yeah, and we're doing lots of stuff, and like I think I'm like the crazy guy like in the army who like wants to run over the hill and start attacking like the enemy, like and I'm a bit like, right guys, we're going to coordinate, we're going to get together, and then we're going to go and infiltrate the alcohol drinking community and try and support them. And like my vibe is very much like choice. Like I'm not trying to I don't think any of us are trying to say, right, we all need to be sober and everyone has to abstain and we want prohibition back. That's definitely not our vibe, is it? But our vibe is very much like, well, I can't talk for you or anyone else, but for how I feel is that there isn't a sufficient choice out there for sober, curious people, and everyone I seem to speak to kind of agrees with that. So it's like that's what Liquid Choices is about, and kind of what you're doing and so on. It's just to kind of go, well, we're not coming in to take our alcohol away, but what we are doing is let's just level this playing field a little bit. So for the 100 alcoholic drinks that you sell, could you sell 3, 4, 5? Do you know what I mean?
A little bit more.
Just a little bit more. That's all we're asking for. So like, yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from. And like I say, we're working together. We've got lots of things on the horizon. And yeah, like I say, I think it's a really positive movement. I think that anyone who is not already following Kristin at Sober and Curious account needs to do that immediately, because your content is great. You've got a lot of stuff there about different products and discounts and all that sort of thing. And yeah, we hope to, hope to have like more connections with other companies and good companies, and just push out the message as much as we can, that there are choices out there. And I think for me, what you said to me about how you came to sobriety really resonates, because it's just that feeling that you know that something possibly isn't right or could be better. And I just think if there's people listening to this who are in that position, but kind of think, oh, there's no way I can stop drinking because I've got that event then, or I've got Fred's wedding then, or I've got, Muse at Wembley. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we've been there, haven't we? Like, we know what
Yeah,
it's
totally.
like. And I
Yeah,
think,
I think.
no, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's important for people to realize that to be able to enjoy these alcohol-free options, you don't have to not drink. You don't have to
Mm.
be teetotal. I mean, I think I read a statistic that like 70% of people that drink alcohol-free drinks also drink alcohol as well. So
Okay,
it's not
yeah.
like you have to be one or the other. You can drink alcohol and drink alcohol-free drinks. It's just knowing that like you say, there's a choice out there. So if one night you're going out and you don't want to drink, if there's something that's a nice alternative, you're more likely to choose that, or something that looks like you're maybe drinking, if you're worried about what people are going to say or what people are going to think about
Mm.
you. If there's something that's, looks a bit special, looks like it might be an alcoholic drink, you're more likely to have that rather than just being like, oh, fuck it, I'll just have an alcoholic.
Exactly. And I couldn't have put it better myself. Like, we're very good as a society. Like, I think it's a marketing trick, isn't it, to pit things against each other. So like, you're either Xbox or your PlayStation, or
Yeah.
you're Atari or Amiga. It might be before your time, Kristin, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, you either drink or you don't. You're either vegan or you're not vegan. It's like,
Yeah.
you can actually do whatever you want that makes you happy and makes you, as long as you're not hurting, anyone else, and you feel good about what you're doing, just do what you want. So if like, I've recently gone vegan, and the reason is, it's not because I don't actually even like the term vegan. I just think it sounds a bit peculiar and a bit odd, but like, like, it just feels better. I feel better. So for me at this moment in time, it feels better. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. Maybe I will. I feel like at the moment I will, but I could choose to have a steak later on, and that's fine. That's fine. And it's the same that applies to alcohol and alcohol-free drinks. And I think what people need to be aware of is that, I think from my perspective, they're definitely, like, the hospitality sector has had a number of drinks come into it, alcohol-free drinks, that are just not necessarily representative of all the stuff that's out there. And so some people say, oh, I've tried Beck's Blue, and I just thought it was a bit flavorless or whatever. I'm not saying that Beck's Blue is flavorless. That's not my, but do you know what I mean? Like, that
Yeah.
could be what someone might say.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
like, and what I think what we're saying is there are some drinks now, like, man, I've got such a nice selection at home now. Things like Talonmore. I'm banging to Sentia at the moment, Sentia and ginger, and stuff like that. And they're just so flavoursome. You know what I mean? And like, I really just think, like, exactly what you said. Even if you're still drinking, just try these things, because there's so much good stuff out there, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, I suppose if it would be really interesting to be able to do like a blind taste test with
Yeah.
people, because I genuinely think, I mean, I've not drunk for over a year now, but I do still remember what alcohol tastes like. And yeah, there's some things out there that you're just like, I know that just tastes like juice. So it definitely doesn't have alcohol in it. But some of these alcohol-free spirits and like the pre-mixed cans and stuff like that. I mean, if you had them out of glass, I mean, you wouldn't know the difference. So you have your first one. Obviously, you wouldn't get that like alcohol hit, but the actual taste of them, you're not going to tell the difference.
No, absolutely. And in some cases, and most cases, I think they taste better in a lot of ways, especially the spirits and stuff. But that might be my bias. But we'll leave it there, Kristin. I just wanted to say thank you ever so much for coming on. You are a natural. There is no need to be
For
nervous.
having me.
If people want to
Okay.
tell Kristin how amazing she was in the comments, she's available for podcast bookings. Um,
No.
I'm going to get her. I'm going to get her into public speaking next year. She doesn't know this yet.
Oh
But no,
God.
on a serious note, I think it's been lovely. It's been really nice hearing your story. I think all sober stories and how are relevant and inspirational, and yours has been great. So thank you for that. And yeah, follow Sober and Curious.